May I now introduce Dr. Sergio Felipe de Oliveira and Sylvia Gibbons, who will join us. Dr. Sergio, he graduated from the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Sao Paulo and has a Master of Science in Brain Neuroanatomy with a focus on the human pineal gland. He's been a guest speaker at Harvard and is clinical director, undertaking research to explore better quality of life in patients, considering the fields of psychology, psychiatry, biophysics, biology, and spirituality. Thank you, Dr. Sergio.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure to stay here. Sorry by my English that is not a good English, but I will try. Uh, about pineal gland, I think that is a very, very important issue because pineal gland is the clock of our body, or more precisely, the clock of our psychosoma. The science nowadays is study hard the biorhythm of the nature, and we know that pineal gland is the central structure of the chronobiological function. It's very interesting because the rhythm, the time, is a physical aspect linked with the life, because we don't have time in the matter. We have time on biological systems. We have time only where just exists life. Life is linked with the time. For example, the word time comes from temenon, from the Greek language. Temenon originated the word temple, for example. That is the space where the spirit presents. Temple. The same time is the same. The time is a space, the space-time. And maybe the fourth dimension, where the spirit presents in the matter. So the time is a consciousness materialization in the physical world. So pineal gland, we think that is linked with our consciousness, our soul, the spirit. And it's very interesting because pineal gland is an endocrinology organ and a neurosensory organ. Pineal gland is sensitive to magnetic field. All the animals have pineal gland. And for example, the migration of the birds depends of pineal gland. The birds, they use the magnetic lines of our planet to migrate. We know that pineal gland is a sensory organ that change magnetic fields in biochemistry. So the link with the spirit and the body could be intermediated by magnetic fields. And the pineal gland is the center of this connection. We, we have been studied pineal gland since 30 years ago, for 30 years. Uh, and we make a lot of micrographies in electron microscope in São Paulo University. I will show for you. Here is a pineal gland in a study of autopsy in Clinics Hospital of the University of São Paulo, in a mesoscopic photography. This is another pineal gland. The pineal gland is in the center of your brain and is the most irrigate, the organ with most blood circulation of the brain. So it's very important in functional organ. This is another pineal gland. We have two connection inter pineal gland and the brain. I will return to this one. That is a beautiful photography. Here we have the abenula commissura that is linked with the limbic system of our brain. That is the emotional center of the brain. So we have the pineal gland and the abenula commissura linked with the limbic system. And here we have the posterior commissura that is linked with the muscles of our eye pupil. It's very interesting because we detected the life with the movement of our pupils, the sensitive of our pupils to the light. So this commissura, this posterior commissura is linked with this movement of our pupils. That is a sign of the life. It's very interesting. This is a neurological connection of pineal glands. Here, in a tomography, we detect in the center of the brain, we detect a tiny point with apatite crystals. So this is the brain, and this white spot here in the center is the crystals inner the pineal gland. This one, another one. René Descartes, the ancient philosopher, said that the spirit connects with the body with the pineal gland. Here, we cut a pineal gland, a human pineal gland, we cut and put in an electron microscope. Let's go. we have a lot of structures inner the pineal gland. This one, uh, like uh, like tiny points, tiny spheres inner the pineal gland. Each people have a different distribution of these structures, like spheres of crystals inner the pineal gland. Each people have different distributions and different structures of these crystals. So we think that these structures, these crystals inner the pineal gland, is responsible for the sensitivity to magnetic fields, because these structures have a great deal of electrons in surface, because these structures is appetite structures. So the appetite have a great deal of electrons in surface. So we have here a place that is very sensitive to magnetic fields, very sensitive to magnetic fields. So these spheres have layers of conjunctive tissue, human conjunctive tissue. When we cut these conjunctive tissues, we have this structure that is similar of the circumvolutions of our brain, like microbrains of appetite. These crystals have sensitivity to magnetic field and translate the information to the biological system. So the magnetic field reach the pineal gland, and the crystals that is sensitive to magnetic field because have a great deal of electrons in surface, detected the information of the magnetic field and transfer to biological system. So then the pineal gland will produce the melatonin hormone according to the stimulus of the magnetic field, and start a chain, a melatoninergic chain of biochemistry that regulates the biorhythm of the hormones, neurotransmitters, affecting the sleep, the hungry, the humor, the immunological systems, and all the rhythm of our body. Mrs. Sylvia, my English is comprehensible. You okay?
Yes, it is okay. It's fine.
Okay. So these crystals is inner spaces that have a morphogenetic aspect. So the calcification of pineal gland is not like, for example, the calcification of the kidneys, like a stone of the kidneys. It's not like this. The calcification of pineal gland is something functional. It's like our mouth and our teeth. The teeth is calcification, but it's functional calcification. So these crystals in the pineal gland have a function to regulate the sensitivity to magnetic fields. That is important. Telepathy is important to regulate the connection in the spirit and the body. It's important to connect our brain to another personality, an intrusive personality. So, for example, in spiritist obsession, the spirit that affect in trance state and possession, like we have in international disease code, trance state and possession, because the spirit connect with the brain by magnetic field, and the pineal gland detects and catch this information and change in biochemistry. Each crystal has some layers, like an onion. Holds a person, more layers of the crystals, like a tree. Here, left, we have a young people, a crystal of a young people. Here, an old people. So, we have a lot of layers and a different sensitivity to magnetic fields. So the medium, the mediunity, is a sense of perception function. And the pineal gland is the center of the sensitive aspect of this sense of perception function. The pineal gland detects the magnetic field, and each people have a different distribution of the crystals in the pineal gland, and each crystal is different. Because in young people, we have some layers like onion. In old people, a great deal of layers. And with the age, we modify our sensitivity. Here, the circulation, blood circulation that irrigates the crystals. So the crystals are life structures. The pineal gland catch the magnetic field with some information. For example, an entity, a spiritual being, for example, a telepathy phenomena, an empathy with two people, for example. The pineal gland detects the magnetic field and catch and change the magnetic information to biochemistry. And for example, our heart accelerates, for example. So the pineal gland catch the magnetic field with some information of empathy, of this intrusive spirit, for example, and this information is changing in biochemistry and goes to the thalamus, and then from the thalamus to the cortex. If the information goes to the frontal cortex, we have an idea, an intuition. If it goes to the occipital cortex, we have a clairvoyance. If it goes to speech area of our cortex, we have a psychophony. If it goes to the right area, so we have a psychography. Sometimes we have an out-of-the-body experience that is very common when the people don't have a great deal of crystals in the pineal gland. So we have a dominance of out-of-the-body experience with cholinergic effects in our body. So sometimes when the people have a lot of crystals, a great deal of crystals, so these people have a domination of incorporation, of possession, that catch the information. And we will have an adrenergic reaction of the autonomous neural system. If you have low crystals, we have a dominance of out-of-the-body experience and cholinergic effect. If you have a great deal of crystals, we have a dominance of incorporation trance, to catch intrusive personality, to catch an energy. So with an adrenergic effect, the acceleration of the heart, and a lot of effects. So the mediumship affects our physiology. We can detect the trance state with physical exam. If we have a cholinergic effect, we have out-of-the-body experience. If we have a connection with the spirit, we have an adrenergic effect. So we have a blood pressure, high blood pressure, for example. And sometimes the information, the pineal gland catch the information, link, this information goes to thalamus, and then from thalamus to hypothalamus, and affect the psychobiological behaviors. The hungry, the sleep, the sexuality, the aggressivity. So the psych phenomenology of mediumship is clinically rich, so to speak, and not always manifests as paranormal phenomena. Sometimes the mediumship, the mediunity, manifests with paranormal phenomena, sometimes with clinical phenomena. And this is very important in psychiatry, to understand some aspects of depressions, anxieties, psychoses that have a trance state comorbidity, and some psychosomatical symptoms or clinical symptoms with autonomic nervous system alterations, with a comorbidity, the trance state. Sometimes the patient have a spiritual sensitivity This spiritual sensitivity have a body connection, and we have symptoms. Then it's important to make the diagnosed, the central diagnosis of the pathology, but the comorbidity that patient have a high sensitivity, a dominance of out of the body experience with cholinergic effect, or a dominance of trance state and possession with alterations of the behavior and adrenergic alterations. So the medicine, we think that it's very important to study the effect of mediumship, the mediunity, in clinical aspects. I say these clinical finds should be seen more as a field of research to be solved rather than something already openly established. These are assumptions based on concrete evidence on clinical observations, yet deserving further investigation. Thank you very much. This is an introduction for this important issue, and I could, for questions, that's okay, for questions. Sylvia, is that okay?
That's okay. I think there will be afterwards a question and answer. So we will not reply to questions now. There'll
Okay.
be a round table afterwards, and questions will be asked then.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sergio, for illuminating us on the pineal gland and its role in unusual or anomalous or spiritist experiences. Hope you will join us at 2:30 for the questions and answers, because I'm particularly interested in the role that it has with certain people of dementia who are diagnosed with dementia. But that question will maybe ask during the question time. I hope you will join us there.
Thank you
That
very
would
much.
be great. Thank you. And thank you, Sylvia, for translating and for your presence online.
It's okay. My pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Sergio.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. So we will have the question and answer session, and there will be a survey that you're invited to do. There will be a the Q&R code will be put on the screen as I speak. The Q&R code is on the screen, and you can do the survey to make comments. You can start it there.